All right, here we go. All right, welcome into the third episode, Blood Prison Shakedown, here at the gorgeous Ohio State Reformatory. Of course, the historical prison they shot the Shawshank Redemption in. That's what it's known for, and of course, many other things. My name is Vic. Today with me, I got a very special guest. If you want some good shit on your haunted attraction, you got to hire this guy. It's Abe Robinson from Blind 7. What's going on, man? How you doing?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah, man. Abe does all of our work here at Blood Prison. He's done the last two videos for the Halloween attraction we do every year. Plus, we did a Christmas video that we're gonna premiere.
Oh yeah, that hasn't even seen the light of day.
It hasn't. You know, I'm super excited for that. I'm super excited to do that event because we haven't done one yet. We were gonna do one last year, but COVID. You know.
Oh yeah.
But this year I'm super excited, and the crew's super excited about doing a Christmas haunt. And I love how that has evolved in Halloween attractions. Like now there's Christmas and Easter and not Thanksgiving, but
I'm surprised that would
right.
that might actually make for a really good haunt.
You got a crazy ass turkey running around chasing you.
I'm thinking more about the genocide, but
I knew you would. No, and then there's like halfway to Halloween, and so there's all these events now. Which, hey, I'm not complaining.
No, I'd rather it run as a 365 business.
Shit, yeah, and then just tainting all the other holidays with Halloween is just something to me is a good thing.
That seems like an aspiration for a really good teenager. Like, just wake up one morning, I'm gonna ruin every holiday.
Everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day, done. We're killing
Get
it.
some Rosh Hashanah in there. Do them all.
Yeah. Valentine's Day rolls around. Nope.
Actually, that one's really popular for some reason.
Yeah. Because it's like, Bloody Valentine or, that aspect.
That's actually one of my favorite shoots I've ever done was for a haunt for that.
Yeah. For a Bloody Valentine's Day?
Yeah, it was for the Fear Experience. We did that. I called it a Moor, which is basically it's one of the mythos of Valentine, and it's like the demon thing with its wings ripped off. It's basically Bloody Cupid, but way more creepy.
Right. Yeah. The Fear Experience, man. That was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. They've been closed now for like 3+ years now.
Yeah, I think it's been longer than 3. But yeah, that was one that it's sad to say I never got to go to.
That was a good haunt.
That's what everyone told me. They loved that one.
Yeah, those kids really put in the effort.
Yeah.
That's what Rick worked there too.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Now he's up at Chippewa and doing that one's kicking ass. And you do a lot of video work there too.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I was actually there 2 days after I was here last.
Really?
So, yep.
Yeah.
That Sunday.
And it's so much fun getting into the video when you're doing, because nobody does like music videos anymore, but like everyone does like a video for their haunt, and it's almost like shooting a little short movie for your haunted attraction, which makes it all the more fun to us anyways.
Oh yeah, I've only been doing commercial video work for probably, I don't know, about 3 years or so now. But I've been in video for about 5, but photographer for 20. But the haunt commercial stuff, it always, I mean, I love haunts. I always loved haunts, but it always, to me, it felt like it was lacking storytelling along with it.
Sure.
It was just a lot of screaming at the camera and things flying at the camera. And
right.
I take a different approach to it, as you know, but
sure.
I think everyone seems to be evolving in it now, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. And for someone like me, I'm not, I don't run cameras or anything. I never have. The most I ever did was I did audio work. I did some production audio. And in doing that, it was always just like, you had your director and your DP, I suppose, and, they're all in front of the camera. And, I'd kind of walk up and I just kind of glance at the monitor. People be like, what's going on? Something wrong with sound? No, I'm just looking.
I'm just interested in it.
You're always just like, here, man, check it out. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, sweet. Because I always want to see what's going on. and you've been super cool about that kind of shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's really hard in haunts to do the client monitor with like to drag around like a 50-inch TV. I try to do it on as many sets as possible now, but you're working in little corridors and you got a small team trying to run everything. It makes it kind of difficult. But if that's something that you want is like an old client monitor, so you don't have to follow us around and you just sit in your office and watch. We can set that up.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. I'll be in the office. You guys do your thing. Let me just chill here. No, I love being on there, just the experience and the environment and everything. And sometimes when they're shooting movies here, because at the Reformatory, like we had Judas and the Black Messiah came in.
I have yet to watch that.
I haven't either, and I guess we're in it like 10 minutes. But like House, he worked on that. We had House in a little while ago. He worked on that movie as makeup, and I actually went up and talked with him a little bit, and it was just seeing all that here, because I never worked on a big movie like that, but I worked on smaller, low budget stuff. But it was just being around it again, just kind of gives you that. Oh man,
yeah. There's just something about being on set. It doesn't matter if I'm hired to run the set or if I'm hired to just run behind the scenes and just take pictures. Just something about being around everybody doing their job and being creative is just everybody feeds off of it, and it's fantastic. So.
Absolutely. And then you see things where you're like, that is awesome. I want to try that. You know what I mean?
They were filming the Avengers, or it was the Winter Soldier right outside my old studio's window, and I was watching them set up all day long, and then the scene where they flip the car, we heard it, and I was like, oh, I rushed to the window and watch. Like, they of course had security all over the street, couldn't get within an eye shot, but from our window we could look down and see the whole thing. It was great.
I remember when they were shooting the Avengers. There was people like in the high rises in Cleveland, like with their phones, and they're like, shooting it and posting it all to YouTube. And I'm sitting there like watching on YouTube. I'm like, oh my God, they're just blowing shit up and cars flying.
Yeah, that was all on the Shoreway. Because literally you can't police an entire apartment complex. No. And there's like a high-rise apartment right on the freeway.
Right,
so
exactly.
You can't really, I'm surprised not more stuff leaked out of that.
Yeah, no kidding. And I tried, because I was even in the union back then, because I joined the union to try and get into more movies, trying to get more work, which didn't work at all. I think I worked 2 union jobs, and they were all just one. None of it was sound either. It was always like I PA'd for this. God, what was it? It was like a Vanilla Ice.
Oh, jeez.
It was a Vanilla Ice Goes Amish TV show. He did like this do-it-yourself network show where he like builds houses and stuff like that. And they needed a PA on this set, and I was like, whatever, man, I'll take the job because I have nothing else.
Bringing lots of vanilla lattes around.
Oh yeah, running and getting which it needs done, but I was just like I'd never done that. And then there was another one. We shot a movie over in it was Canton, Ohio, and it was a football movie about this football team, a high school football. I can't remember the name of the movie. It's bad because I worked on it. But my friend Rachel was like, "Hey, have you ever put a football uniform together?" And I was like, "Yeah, because I'm a little in high school, not much." And she's like, "Well, we need help doing that." And I was like, "Hey, I can probably help you out. It's on a movie, sure, why not?" It was in wardrobe, and I'm like, I will never do that again. Those people get no credit for what they do.
Of course not.
Oh my gosh, because that is some ball busting work.
I wouldn't have been able to put it together because sports in me are like, I can't do it.
Yeah, no, it really isn't that hard, but it was getting everything around and getting everything together, and then like wrapping everything out, and then everybody's talking to each other. And like, oh yeah, man, it was nice meeting you. And then everyone, and then we're in there just trying to wrap out all this football gear and uniforms and everything. It was tough. And then my friend who said, hey, come and do the work. I was like, yeah, absolutely. She went to another project.
Oh, jeez.
So I was just like, really? So I didn't even know anybody. It turned out I did know a couple people there, but it was just like, all right, whatever. But that was a rough one.
I've worked on some big music videos. I've only really, I think I only worked on one actual movie, and it was an independent film from Fort Knox Productions. Moonshine Kingdom, it was called. Mm-hmm. It was about a bunch of crazy kids making moonshine that ended up getting into it with the mafia and some hillbillies, and it was like this weird.
Sounds great.
I got to play a enforcer where I was torturing a guy.
Nice.
And the kid who I was supposed to be torturing, my name was Sal in the movie. I remember that much.
Sal.
But and I'm not an actor, not at all. But they were like, we need somebody who can, look big and imposing. And I'm a big fat guy, so of course I'm scary.
Right, yeah.
So I basically just covered myself in fake blood and then, hit this kid with a rubber hammer for 5 minutes. But then they wanted him tased, and the kid, so they handed me a real taser.
Yeah.
And the kid was like, yeah, just do it. Just really tase me. And I'm like, are you sure, man? This is gonna hurt. And he's like, just do it. So for an hour, I was just tasing him in his legs and his chest, and he was fine.
Yeah.
But that's method acting. I wouldn't have gotten tased.
I'd have been crying.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, you son of a bitch, don't do it again. You know what I mean?
That was an interesting project. Most of those guys went on to be like, I think the one guy who co-wrote it, he's a huge cam op now. So,
really?
It was a low budget, but I think it was just more like a test run for everybody, and that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun doing that low. I could tell you some horror stories on low budget stuff that we did. Not where I worked, but, on my own. Because after a while, you kind of had to go out and do some independent things just to, make it work. But
well, there's a difference between a no budget, a low budget, and a passion project.
Right.
I've done plenty of passion projects, and I've done some no budget shoots. I would actually rather a no budget than a low budget, because sometimes that stresses you out even more.
Yeah.
They're like, I've got $300 and I've got to divide this up between 11 people and all this. You're better off just being like, there's no budget, because you really don't have one in the low brackets anyways. But
well, there was one time I shot a movie with Ed Douglas. I don't know if you know Ed or not.
No,
he's the Midnight Syndicate guy. He does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he's super, super sweet guy. And we shot a movie with him, and then he called me up and said that he knew a guy that was looking for a sound guy to go to, I don't know, somewhere out of state. It was Alaska. And I was just like, wow, that would be, and I was just like, wow. And I was like, yeah, I'm interested, definitely. Let me give me the info. So he gives me the info, and I believe I emailed the guy, and he was like, yeah, we're going to go to Alaska. Now, I'm not I don't like to fly. Okay, I do, but if I don't have to, I would rather not. Okay, whatever, call me a chicken, whatever. But flying to Alaska, I was like, I'll do it. I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do this. Well, then he said, well, once you get here, then we need to fly to this other place. We did fly to like 2 or 3 different locations. And it was like, okay, and those 2 words, or maybe it's one word, I don't know, but it was puddle jumper. And I'm like, no.
It's just a small plane.
Yes, I don't like that.
I flew for the first time I guess I flew when I was a little kid, but I don't remember it. But I ended up I got hired by 13th Floor to shoot one of their haunts in Denver, and I flew out there for that. And that was the first time in my as able to remember life flying. Well, like I said, I'm a big guy, so I had to buy 2 seats to get out there.
Okay.
And the flight out was fine. It was the flight back, because the flight out was literally just Cleveland to Denver, but the flight home was a red eye, and it was Denver to Vegas to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Which made no sense to me, but apparently that made perfect sense to the airline. Yeah. But the flight from Vegas home was packed, and it was just I got a little turbulence for a little bit, and I was like, that was like the second time I'd been on a plane in 5 days, and like I don't bounce. I go splat. I'm a big dude, so I'm not gonna falling at 30,000 feet. I think everybody goes splat, but I was not doing too well on the way home, and then I eventually fell asleep, which was good. But I can't.
That's what I try to do almost every time I fly, is like just go in tired so I can sleep, because I can sleep anywhere.
The way out to Denver, I couldn't sleep. I had the window seat, and I was just like eyes wide open. I looked like meth head, like just, oh my God, there's mountains, there's clouds. We're on the other side of the clouds.
Yeah.
And I fly a drone, so I get once in a blue moon, I'll get to see the middle of a cloud when it's low, but it's completely different when you're up above it yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, where else? I mean, you do the haunt videos, obviously. You've done mine for the last 2 years. You said you work up with Chippewa, 13th floor. You just came back from one out in New Jersey, yeah?
Yeah, Brighton Asylum.
Yeah,
New Jersey.
how'd that go?
It was good. Rich, the owner, he's a really nice dude. He, in any creative industry, you always have like the person who's the lead, and then you have somebody who's like trying to put their opinions in. Rich, right. and there was no butting heads. That's always nice. You know, the majority of haunts that I've worked with, they kind of take a look at my work and they trust me.
Yeah.
I've only run into a few where it's been micromanaged, and you know, any creative industry, if you're being micromanaged, it just makes things worse. But no, Rich was good. They actually, man, that dude can play piano.
Yeah.
You ever get a chance to like go out to Brighton, I think they're going to be incorporating something with that, possibly, because we ended up filming him play the piano, and it was beautiful. The dude just tickles the ivories. It was great.
There you
go. But yeah, minus the, no offense to any listener that's in New Jersey, but wow, that's all I can say about that place.
Yeah,
like thought Cleveland was a shithole. there's some places in Jersey I was like, man, I don't even know if I want to go down that street.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no kidding. Well, I'm sure you get that, you know, most places.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in East Cleveland and between Cleveland and Cleveland Heights and stuff, so I've seen some bad areas, and I've, you know, driven through Detroit before, so seen some even worse neighborhoods, but it wasn't that they were like, they just seemed shady to me.
Yeah.
Like really, really expensive cars, but there was nobody around.
That's weird.
Like, is it just a parking lot for Lamborghinis on that street or something?
There you go.
But yeah, it was a weird time. But Brighton's they're a good haunt. So
yeah,
excited to get that edited, and I'm still working on yours.
Yeah, I know, right? What the hell's going on?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm taking forever.
No, just joking. We got time. No, you know, and you also, like you said, you've done the music videos. Mm-hmm. Do you want? I mean, I love your work. I mean, you do amazing work for us, and like pretty much everything. So, is there a day down the road you're like, you know, I really want to take like a movie on or something like that and produce it yourself or direct it?
Not for say like a full length feature film. I run into the issue is I have my company, which obviously I'm the owner and the director and the creative behind the company. But then I also have my own personal work too. So my personal work leads me in a little bit more of the dark and stuff. And then my commercial work for the company is a mix of haunted houses and like food photography. Okay. So like, you know, pictures of your, you know, nice car in a car, you know, for a car advertisement or, you know, your brand new souffle for your restaurant. So it's a very big split in the creative world. And my personal work, I'm working on a short film right now. Oh, cool. I just shot the proof of concept for it last weekend. Took 6 hours out of my jam-packed schedule that weekend and knocked that out. And it's after shooting the proof of concept, I realized it wasn't quite ready yet. So I need to kind of take it back to the drawing board. But as far as like, you know, directing the next Avengers, that would be a really strange Avengers movie if I was to be involved.
I bet it would, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think that I'll ever want to direct like a full feature-length film, but I direct some shorts, definitely.
Yeah.
And commercials are always fun too, because I like the weird creative concepts that you can pack into like a minute-long video.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of what you're doing, like with us, or you know, you're doing a minute to a minute and a half. I mean, I'm always like, dude, just go as long as you want. I think this is killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I honestly wish that, you know, people's attention spans weren't, you know, 30 seconds anymore.
Yeah.
With the advent of social media, it pretty much took music videos used to be 3 minutes long back in like the 90s when MTV actually still played music videos.
Yeah.
They were 3 minutes because that was the average attention span.
Yeah.
Now you make a music video in 15 seconds for TikTok or Instagram or anything else.
It's true.
And you're like, oh, that was a great music video. That wasn't a music video. That was a clip of a music video. But I think that's just me showing my age.
We used to call those teasers.
Right.
Now it's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when trailers for movies are showing the best of the movie, you got a 2.5 hour feature film and you've got a 1 and 30-second trailer that shows all the good stuff because they know it's really the only way to get you hooked anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So. And it's weird how things have went after, everything that went down last year, because it's sad to me, honestly, because, I guess maybe I'm showing my age too, but it's like, you drive by the movie theater and there's maybe, at least around here, I don't know about up in Cleveland, but around here you're looking at, I don't know, 20 cars at the most. What the hell's going on?
I went and seen Mortal Kombat when it came out because I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I've been a tournament player since I was a little kid.
There you go.
And so me and my buddy Bean, we were like, we got to go see it. We got to go see it. So we tried to get a big group of people together, and it ended up just being the two of us. It was us and 4 other people in the theater.
Yeah.
But it was still like pre-Ohio's like, okay, you guys can go outside again. And it was when I was like AMC or whatever, they had just opened up. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't a whole lot of people there. But now, like, I went to go to Walmart the other day and it was like 10,000 people in that place.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like it was 2019 all over again.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I'm ready for, most people I talk to are, they're ready. They're ready to come to get back to,
as much as, minus the fact that I lost some family members and to COVID, like nothing really changed much for me. Like, I work from home. I spend 85% of my week sitting at a computer editing. So it cost me like, 9 shoots in the first couple months.
Sure.
But we found ways around it with masks and social distancing and, doing everything we could to be able to continue productions because obviously we got to make money to survive. But other than the first few months, like my day-to-day didn't change much. My wife still went to her 9 to 5 and she worked for a trucking company. So it turned into 9 to 7s, 9 to 8s because, she ships food. So.
Yeah. Well, and that was one industry that didn't really suffer because...
Oh, no, they tripled.
Yeah. I never understood the toilet paper thing. You know what I mean? I didn't quite get that part, but I'm just like, all right, whatever.
Guys buying 4 million things of hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Then trying to return it.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think for us, aside from like, like a giant touring band... You know what I mean? But like when you're in the entertainment industry, and that's what we are, and as haunted houses, we're entertainment. People come and and they want to come in and have fun and leave happy. You know what I mean? But you require, a lot of people. You know, and that's what sucks for, I'm not, you're not a major touring band, so they have a little cushion to sit on. You would think.
Yeah, hopefully.
You know what I mean? But for the little people like us who are just, trying to, put on a show and make something fun for the community and everything, it was rough. You know what I mean? Because it was, you can't have a large group of people and that's what we need. Well, just time and it's like, you can't do that. Not for, a giant place, that's a major one because you need that large number.
I think it worked well for smaller haunts like Chippewa. They managed to work it really well and with the whole timing thing. But they kind of went into it before the whole COVID thing. They kind of went into their timing to be a little bit more separate because the way their haunt is set up. But like, some of the other haunts that I've worked for, or not just on video, but like, I was a haunt actor too at one point.
Yeah.
It's all about the volume. Like you got to get, 10,000 people on a Saturday night to go through to, make sure you're covering your bills. And I don't think people realize that like, depending on where you go in the haunt industry, you have to do volume. Like, granted, there's a reason that you pay me to make stuff to bring people in. Like it's all
Right,
a money chain, and if you're not getting people in, well, you're not going to hire me. So it's my job to help push you.
Right.
And if we're all not doing our very best every time, and then we get hit with something that's going to basically knock everybody's legs off or anything, yeah, it pretty much crushed. I mean, like I got friends that work at like between like restaurants and like bars and stuff, though they all got hit pretty good.
Sure.
But people still were doing takeout, so you got a little bit here, a little bit there. But like working for like the Agora, like working for big concert venues and things, like, they got hit just as hard as like the haunt industry.
Absolutely.
And that's rough. Like, when your whole thing is you need to pack in 3,000 people into a room and then throw this show to be able to feed 80 people. And be able to pay 80 people plus yourself.
Yeah.
I guess I'm glad my business isn't as big as like, a full scale haunt or, a big concert venue. Cause that stress probably would have killed me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, well, honestly, at first, you don't want nothing like this to happen, but I was getting so much stuff done because I was working from home. And I didn't have like everyone like, hey man, we got to do this. And I'm just like, all right, but it's just like, I'm sitting in my office at home on my laptop, and I was like, I think I got more done today than I did in the last 2 days. But after about the first 2 weeks of doing that, I was ready. I'm just like, all right, I'm ready to go back. I
got lucky. I'm an introvert that can fake being an extrovert really well.
You do that well.
So, when I'm sitting at home, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just like my computer. Right. I can play my video games and be a little nerd. But when obviously, like I've stood on stage in front of 3,000 people, and I have no problem walking into a situation where there's lots of people because I've kind of trained myself that whole like act as if you're not scared. But yeah, people scare the hell out of me for the most part.
So you said a few minutes ago you were a haunt actor at one point.
Yes, I was.
So let's talk about that, man. What did you do? Where did you work?
I worked for Nightmare in Painesville in the early-ish mid-'90s. A buddy of mine was like, hey, man, what are you doing this weekend? You want to make $2? And I'm like, $2? Doing what? And he was like, oh, yeah, come on up. We're hiring actors. And I was like, actors for what? And he's like, you want to get covered in blood or not? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So, so I ended up going out there working a couple weekends, and the pay, it wasn't for the pay. Like the 90s haunted houses were not for the pay.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even consider it a real job. And it was like, it wasn't even my first job. So I was like, but it was the first job where I was like, man, I get to scare the crap out of people.
Yeah.
And, I had already been an artist for a while and my art was already scaring people. So I was like, this is a perfect example of, me doing something I love. I worked there, and then that was pretty much the only place I think I guest acted one night at Fair Experience.
Okay.
But it was just for fun because I ran the photo booth there too. But Nightmare in Painesville is my only home for acting. Was my very first night. I was a Chucky.
Okay.
After they shut down, this is Nightmare in Painesville got shut down because they had an abortion clinic. That was my very first. The very first.
They had an abortion clinic in the haunt?
Yes, they did.
Oh.
They also had like a Vietnam thing.
Oh my God. They're just going after all of it, weren't they?
Yeah, they were a haunt that would set up at the Painesville Fairgrounds for like. Just for the season. So it was like a build it, tear it down at the end of the season thing.
Oh yeah, I know that.
And every year they tried to like give one like super shocking scene. And it just so happened that the year I worked there was the year that they like tried to go way overboard. And as much as I love pushing the envelope, that all got shut down very quickly. And then it was all over the news and stuff. So they shut it. They didn't shut the haunt down, but they closed down those rooms and routed everybody. And so I got to wear a Chucky mask for the rest of the weekend. My first job was throwing body parts.
There you go.
Baby body parts.
That is, well, I mean, I don't want to give anybody's haunt away, but there's a haunt I know of that still does that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So, and it's pretty famous haunt down in Pataskala.
I don't know that one.
No, really?
No.
Haunted Hoochie?
You know what? I've heard about it, and
Oh, man.
they're just not like I heard they just how you have naked girls running around. That's pretty much the extent of it. And I'm like, I've been a photographer for 20 years. I've seen plenty of naked girls. Like,
Yeah.
it makes no sense.
Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, you don't go down there and just see naked girls. I mean, yeah, they've got some scantily clad girls running around, whatever. But it's a fun haunt. It's a good time. But they do that. They push the envelope, and they do it in a way it's really cool. You know what I mean? It's a lot of fun. I mean, like I think I've been there 3 times, and every time we would come out just hooting and hollering and laughing. It was like, oh my god, that was just kind of how you want to walk out of a haunt, But
Yeah, I mean, I guess with a name like Haunted Hoochie, you'd want to have like the laughing good time. Whereas like you're not going there to get super scared. You're going there to like enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah, and you do. It's a good time. But they push the envelope, and I mean, there's different variations of haunts everywhere, from to Hoochie to us, and it's just what you're gonna do and how you're gonna do it, and is it effective?
Like I said, I was listening to the very first episode with House, and you guys were talking about the haunted house that if you make it through, you can you get your money back. And I remember all sorts of ones. Like hearing those as a kid, like they run at you with machine guns with blanks in them, and they like shoot you a bunch. And you're like I've never been scared walking through a haunted house. I'm getting hit with a jump scare once in a while where I wasn't expecting it, but it's never been like, oh man, I'm so scared of a haunt that I'm screaming and running.
Right.
But
I'm going to die.
Desensitized to that pretty young. So I just love the weird shit, like the creepiness of it. And that's one of the reasons I love this place, because I mean, just the atmosphere from the prison it kicks it up a notch. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not, I've never even had a scary. I mean, actually, most scary movies are like watching regular TV for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never. I mean, when I was a kid, we did a haunt. I was telling House the same thing. I went to something. I don't remember everything, but I just remember, because I was young. I just remember a guy jumping out of a tree with a chainsaw, and there was like he legit jumped out of the tree, and it was like. There was maybe 10 of us maybe, and we just all went in different directions, into the woods and everything. And he's just having fun chasing us.
See, I was
legit scared then.
I don't know if it's unfortunate, but I was the kind of kid that would have hugged the guy with the chainsaw.
Yeah, there you go.
I've been like, oh, were you my daddy? Like, because I always have like the opposite reaction I should to things.
Yeah. You're gonna be the one that runs into the barn with all the knives and pitchforks and like. This will work.
Yeah, I'm the one that goes in and goes, this one isn't sharp enough.
Yeah, right. No, don't use that. Use this one. This will cut me up a little bit further.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I've spent enough time in between haunted houses and real, like, ghetto haunted houses.
Yeah.
Like, not haunt industry houses, but like houses that are just falling apart. I've seen some shit. So I'm not these like. I have people who are like extremely afraid of fake blood and like if they even think it's real, faint. I always wondered what that feels like, because like I've been around blood and gore my entire life, so it doesn't even. It's like, oh, cool, it's blood. Like it's just like water, it's just red.
Yeah.
But I always kind of want, like my wife, I love her dearly. She's scared of horror movies really well, and I always I'm jealous. I want to be scared of like a haunted house or a scary movie, because that's a feeling I've never really gotten. And so I
was little the last time I was legit scared, from like movies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. We were actually, me and Elena were talking about this, or was it me and Elena, I believe, but there was no like, I don't know. Anymore, there's no real like movie that's gonna make you, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I think that's why I like to watch stuff that's maybe based on an actual event.
I can't seem to get into that whole like you can't see the monster thing.
Yeah,
like that whole genre of movie. Like I'd fall asleep all the time through them. Although I did see a movie not too long ago that actually had me like enthralled at how weird it was. Have you seen Goodnight Mommy?
No.
It's a French film. There's like almost no dialogue in the whole thing.
That's interesting.
beautifully filmed, and it's creepy. Like, it's the first time in a long time I've been like, no, that was a good creepy movie.
Yeah.
Like, all the gore stuff, like, was it Hostels and Saws and stuff. It's cool visuals, but it was never like, oh, that's creepy to me. I need something that's a mix of psychological with the creep.
The creepy movies, because I think we've all met somebody like that. You know what I mean? Yes. Where you're just like, remember that dude in A Clockwork Orange? I think I know a guy like that.
Yes. Clockwork Orange was a good movie.
That was a good movie, yeah.
Man, I hadn't seen that in forever.
Go home and watch that again.
Ultra violent.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, that is a damn good movie.
Yeah. And it adds that, that, because it's so off the wall. You know what I mean? That it adds that, like, Jesus, what the hell is going on here? You know what I mean?
I think I also have maybe it's just because of my chosen profession, but I also have like this tendency to lean towards visually appealing movies. Like, the storytelling has to be good, but it also, like, probably one of the top films visually for me is The Cell. Like,
yeah, with was that Vincent?
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah,
that and Jennifer Lopez,
of course. Yes, yeah.
But like, visually, that movie is just so stunning, and like the cinematography's good, the editing's good, and like just the abstract visuals on top of the fact that you're like, oh, this dude's a serial killer.
Yeah,
make it so much better. Like, better than, like, I grew up on the slasher films, Tremors and all that stuff.
Love Tremors, man.
I saw Tremors 1 in the theater, and I think that was, man, what was I? I don't know. I was like 8 years old or 7 years old seeing that. Like, Nightmare Before, where was it? Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Child. Like, that was like one of the first ones I really remember too. And those are cool, and those were visually stunning for the time, but I don't know. I like things that are slower paced, I think.
Yeah.
Instead of the jumping around in your face stuff.
The Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one is pretty jacked up movie, but they just kind of got like funny. As they went, and all the catchphrases of, especially Robert Englund would throw out there.
Especially after meeting him. He's, you're like, oh, well, that's just him.
Yeah.
Like,
he did it well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those were, that first, maybe even the first two Nightmare on Elm Streets, because they really played on that. You don't want to go to sleep, and you're just like, okay. And then, him coming out, and I think Johnny Depp was even in the first one.
Yeah, I know he was in one of them, but I don't remember which one.
Before he was, huge, but they did the slicing in the guy's stomach, and it's just like, you're next, or you're just like, what? And the bug. I remember I'm pretty sure it's the first one where that dude's just laying there and he's like in the dream sequence, and this giant centipede just comes pouring out of his mouth, and you're just like,
it's been so long, God. I don't even remember that.
Yeah, because it was creepy, and it was just like, oh my gosh, But then it turned into Catchphrase City. Yeah, and then it was like, this is so funny, let's go watch. You know what I mean? Well, it lost the creepiness.
This is the Jason movies. I mean, he like picks the girl up in a sleeping bag, and like it became his like. His catch move was just to beat someone to death with a sleeping bag.
Yeah, swing it around.
I mean, the first time, that's pretty cool. Like, that's an inventive way to kill somebody. But when you're on your fifth virgin, like...
Yeah. And, he's done that. And then, then he went to New York. Remember the Jason...
Did he go to space or something at one point? Like, no, that's Alien. Alien and Predator are supposed to be in space.
Alien versus Predator. There you go.
That's the one thing I disappoint a lot of people with. Everybody's always like, you got to love Alien. I can't get into sci-fi at all.
Really?
I can't do, everybody hates me for it, but I can't do Star Trek. Can't do Star Wars. Yeah. Like, I'm not look, it's a R3, whatever. I can't, it's just not for me.
Yeah.
My dad's a huge Trekkie, and he watches, he loves his Stargate and stuff like that. And I grew up with it in the house, but, sci-fi I don't know.
Yeah.
I do like fantasy, though. I'm like,
right.
I was watching Harry Potter last night, I can't nice 40-year-old, 15-year-old.
Yeah.
But
I never did. Harry Potter was one of those movies where, for me, because my oldest daughter, she's 25 now, so she was into the Harry Potter movies at first, and I was just like, okay, I can deal with this.
Yeah.
You know, because she was also into stuff like Mary-Kate and Ashley.
Oh.
And those kind of movies that she would watch. So when she got into Harry Potter, I was like, all right, yeah, wizards and sorcery, I'll take it.
Right.
We'll go see the Harry Potter movie, no problem. But I don't want to see.
Did she get into the Lord of the Rings?
It's funny you mentioned that. I was talking with, when we were talking about scary movies, I was talking with Elaine about that, and I said, there's that part in the Lord of the Rings, the first movie, the Fellowship of the Ring or whatever it is, where the one character wants the ring back, and his, the main character's holding it, and my daughter's sitting right next to me, and we at the old shop over at Crestline.
I know exactly.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
I knew what was going to happen. She didn't. Not that I thought she was going to get scared, but he was like, raw, and he just goes after that ring, and she just like, and she like grabbed a hold of me. I'm like, what's the matter? And she was like, it scared me, and I was just like, oh yeah. But yeah, she got into those.
Yeah, I was a big Lord of the Rings fan. I used to play D&D when I was a kid a lot. So Lord of the Rings was like, oh, it's a live action D&D game for me.
So when you're watching a movie, doing what you do, do you like see something in a movie like we always talked about?
Oh, it ruins it.
Really?
Ruins.
Yeah.
Once you get into shooting video, especially like in the commercial realm, where you're trying to make things look, I hate to say it for the lack of a better term, but cinematic.
Yeah.
And which is basically there's nothing that's like, oh, that's cinematic, because you can look at like a John Woo film, which is really fast. There's cinematic stuff in there. But then you look at something like, just for instance, like the Chernobyl on HBO, that's beautifully cinematic. But there's no real definition for cinematic, right? But when you're watching films now, you pick out little things, and you're like, why did they light it like that?
Yeah.
Or oops, they missed that VFX shot. Like you start picking things out. It does ruin some things.
Yeah, I agree, because like in the early days when we were working over there at Creature Core, or back then it was called Precinct 13, they did visual effects there. Not more, but like along with the special effects or practical effects or whatever. And they did the Devil's Rejects. So they did this. If you watch the end of that movie where they're all getting shot, the bullet hits, we did all that, and there's the blood. A friend of mine, because there was one guy that did all of it, and he was just this crazy guy that just would sit there for hours and just
It's always a crazy guy.
I know, right? But I remember like standing there watching him, and he's like showing me how to do it. He's like, yeah, you do this and this, and he's just going through all, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, buddy. And he's just doing it, and then he's like, all right, that one's done. Now the next frame. And I was just like, what do you mean? He's like, well, that was that frame. Now I got to go to the next frame. How many frames you got? Oh, this is 25. Oh my God, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's a little easier to do that nowadays.
Yeah, well, this was 04. Maybe 05, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's still like frame by frame rendering for VFX work, but they've kind of, especially with like blood hits and gunfire and the little bit of smoke that comes out of a barrel of a gun, and they've kind of streamlined that process. But there are still plenty of things that like it would take months to build, especially with stuff like the Avengers films. Oh man! Considering it's like a dude like the guy who plays Tony Stark, he's just like standing there in pajamas the whole time, but they've got this mechanical suit with a million moving parts and stuff. Yeah. To me, like I love the film industry, but that would be a really boring job for me. Yeah. Like I need to see it in motion, whereas like I guess that's how they see it when VFX work.
But it does ruin it in the sense of watching, because when you see that, like I really miss being the guy that just watched the movie and that's what you saw. Yep. Now I watching him do that visual effects work, and then I started watching the movie with some friends, and I was just like, what the hell, did you see that? And they're like, what? Like there was this movie where somebody was floating through the air, and like his back, because they had the rig on his back, and they tried to, and his back's like going, and I'm just going, oh my God, that's horrible. I can't watch this now. You know what I mean? Because that's all I see.
You ever want to really ruin something? Watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Yeah. The movie was bad for its time, and let alone now 20 years later. Just you sit down with somebody and a bottle of something and shot glasses, and every time you see a VFX mistake, take a shot. You'll be obliterated 8 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Is the new Mortal Kombat, did you enjoy that one?
I loved the movie because I love the franchise.
Yeah.
I think it lacked a little bit in. They tried to cram too much into a 2-hour movie that didn't quite. It is almost like a 2-hour intro to the 4-hour movie, and I'm waiting on the rest of it.
Yeah.
Like, I understand they did that for budgetary reasons, and they filmed most of the thing during COVID stuff. So, and especially they were filming it in Australia with the wildfires going on and COVID. So
wow.
they ran into a whole bunch of production issues, but it feels like by the end of the movie, it's just now getting started.
Yeah.
And so, it's a Mortal Kombat movie. The Mortal Kombat tournament, there's no tournament in the movie.
Really? I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, the tournament's supposed to start right at the end of the film. So,
oh my gosh.
But everybody in the movie acted really well. I thought that it was visually stunning, especially the fight choreography was really good. But it feels like, okay, I'm there. No. But and I think maybe that's just because I've been a huge fan of the franchise since '92, like '83 or whatever when the game first came out. But I remember being
the games are awesome, man.
I remember being in the arcade and watching them like wheel it in with the dolly and plug it in, and I was like, oh man, I got to be up there. And I was like one of the first 10 people to play it at the Menor Mall, and it was a huge thing back then. And I've played them all. Like I haven't missed a single one all the way through. And
so if you're watching a movie, again, doing what you do you ever see something and you're like, I want to try and do something like that in my upcoming video?
All the time.
Yeah.
And I still there's a fine line between like just copying someone and then using it as inspiration.
Right. Yeah.
And you're never going to be able to do a quick cut sequence without everybody immediately thinking about the guy who does At World's End and At the End or whatever, or like Guy Ritchie, those type of big directors, because they kind of honed certain looks down. But like, there's plenty of things I'll see in regular cinema all the way to like horror and back, and even in YouTube videos, you're like, oh man, that looked really cool. Even if I am directly copying it, I just want to try it because it looked cool.
Right.
I'm a big fan of like. I've been working on this actually. I like anamorphic flares. I really like them visually in film, like the John Wick style of like. So the short film that I'm filming, I kind of borrowed that look. That like the anamorphic flares, the dark blacks, that moody like almost like a 2077 look that they get out of those movies. So my short film, I'm trying all that stuff. Now, granted, I can't afford the $40,000 lenses that they're using in the $500,000 camera setups, but there are cheaper ways to do things, and we've used everything from like Saran wrap over the lens, of Vaseline on a filter to get certain effects. You just got to have fun with it.
The one shot you did, and I don't want to give it away, but the one shot you did on our Christmas, when we did our Christmas video, where you went through the Christmas tree. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Looked great. I remember when you were doing it, I'm like, but I'm going to be like, what the hell is he doing that for? But I'm thinking, nope, I'm just going to let him do his thing. You know what I mean? And then when you showed me, I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, actually, and if you'd like to know where the inspiration came from, that CSI. the
CSI Miami or
no. I'm a original CSI.
There you go.
I like my Grissom, but like that whole like where they would show like the bullet enter into the body. And it's like, so I like those like push through things, and
that was cool.
Yeah, we did a similar shot. I'm not going to ruin it, but coming up for your new thing. Yeah, we did it with an eyeball.
Oh yes, that's I remember. Yeah, that's going to look killer.
So there's being able to borrow inspiration from other artists is how we grow. Like
absolutely,
we try it, we like it, we make tweak it until we make it our own. Yeah. And then I would never if somebody took a look at my artwork and they were like, even my artwork from my personal stuff to my commercial, if it inspires them, it did its job. Like I want future filmmakers and future photographers to take a look at what I've done over my 20 plus year career and go, man, I really want to do something like that.
Yeah.
And hopefully not have to go through all the struggles that I've gone through doing it without a lot of help. So I want them to be able to look at it and be like, oh, well, now I know exactly how to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to reproduce my work because I want them to be their own person, but take it as inspiration, learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah. Try it out for sure. I mean, we always talked about doing the Evil Dead shots going up, and I'm like, I love those things. I mean, that in itself, I mean, you could tribute yourself to that, or rather than, say, well, I'm trying to rip it off, but
Well, and there's also a difference too if you're like you copy something off of a specific styled shot, and then you're like, oh no, this was all my idea. Like, admit where you got the inspiration from. Giving credit to the person that you got it from will, even if say I copied something straight from a movie, and then somebody copies that straight from me, if I didn't give the original credit, that's my bad.
Yeah.
And technically, I guess I wouldn't deserve credit for it. But if the person who copied it off of me doesn't do it, then it just becomes this chain of, break the cycle and give credit where credit's due.
I agree.
So
I agree.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And there's no fault in being like, yeah, I was inspired by it. Yeah, I saw this and it looked cool. Like, I've done plenty of stuff like that. And I know plenty of other people who have too. It's how you develop your own style. Like when people take a look at my personal work, they're like, oh, it's so dark and moody, but it's not like the majority of my personal work isn't even gore and horror. But for some odd reason, I got pigeonholed at one point. Oh, all he shoots is bloody naked people. And I'm like, well, there's like one in my entire portfolio when people are saying that. Like there's 30 other images, but I think that's just because that's what's the easiest for people to latch on to.
Yeah.
But I like to blend dark, scary stuff with pretty.
Right.
It's the best way to do it. The best way to describe it.
We don't have bloody naked people in any of our videos. So.
No, yeah. Yeah, I gave that up 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No more models for me.
Yeah, we'll get some. A lot of people come to the Reformatory and do photo shoots, and it gets pretty interesting because we'll just be walking around doing our thing. Next, there's like just a line of models walking through the hallways. And you're like,
I've been to a few of those. They call them OSR. Right.
Yeah. It makes it interesting for sure.
Yeah, that was actually the first time I was ever out here was for one of those events. Oh, God, was it 2012, 2013?
Yeah.
So I met some really good friends at those that I'm still friends with, actually seeing one next week.
Yeah?
Or no, not next week, 2 days from now, who lives in Philly, and then the rest of the group lives in Wisconsin. They would come to here, and I met them, a group of dudes and a couple of girls. Yeah, those are fun events, but yeah, they get a little weird sometimes.
How many shoots have you done? I know you've done 3 for me.
You talking about in general? How many?
No, I mean here at the Reformatory.
Let's see. I've done 3 for you. I did OSR 3 times, and we filmed the Mushroomhead music video here.
Yes, that just came out like a year and a half ago. Yeah,
yeah, about that. And then I did something else here, and I don't remember what. So like about 8 or 9 times we've been out here shooting stuff.
Yeah, you're a regular, man.
Am I a regular? Is that all it takes now?
You're going to get a key to the place before you know it.
I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Come hang out with the old guy.
Yeah. Old Man Withers, as you called him?
Old Man Withers.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude.
No, he is. He's great. I love his name's Keith. Very good guy.
It's easier for me to just call him Old Man Withers.
He'll appreciate that.
If he listens to this, hi.
Yeah. Oh, he knows all too well, believe me. Yeah, he does good. He's a very big part of the family, that's for sure.
Well, you gotta love people who work at a place that have the same personality as the building.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to describe him. Like just talking to him, you feel like you're talking to the history of the building, and this building obviously is iconic. So,
Well, I mean, Keith and I mean, pretty much most of I'd say almost everybody that I know here. They're not like they love the history, they love the building, they love, you know, being a part of it. You know what I mean? But they don't act like they own it.
Yeah.
And there's a difference because like I've had people that work for me. You know, I tell everybody when I hire them, whether it's for the haunt or whatever we're doing, I'm like, just don't act like, you know, don't get to the point where you think you're running the show, that this is your building, that, you know, because as soon as you start doing, and this place can do that to you, because every time I drive off the highway and over there and I see it, I'm like, I just feel like I'm so honored to be coming here to work.
You end up feeling special just because of where you're at.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, shit, not everybody gets to be in here, and not
That's
everybody
true.
gets to be in here at 8:00 at night on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so yeah, I could definitely see why this building would get to people's heads sometimes.
It really can. And, you know, it's unfortunate at times, but for the most part, you know, like I know, like all my actors at Blood Prison, you know, they would, you know, bleed for the place because they love coming here. It gives you an extra boost. It gives you this energy. You know, you call it paranormal, call it whatever you want, because I got people that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the one came home with me, you know, and I'm just like,
There's
good.
always-
Just be a good host. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, make it breakfast.
Exactly.
If it stays too long, make it pay rent.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, right. But for the most part, they're really cool about it. And then I get, you know, people will come in to guest act. You know, there's the guest actors that want to come in and, you know, work a weekend or just a night sometimes and just hang out and see the building. And, you know, and we do really cool things too, even at Halloween during, you know, Blood Prison. We'll give them the ticket. Like when you buy a ticket, you can come, it's good for a year. You can come back and take a tour of the building.
Oh, nice.
You know, when it's not, you know, when we don't have it all Halloweened up and everything and doing our thing to it, you know, so it's there's so many things that go on, you know, here that just make it, you know, just fun atmosphere, especially being in Mansfield, Ohio.
Yeah,
you know,
it is kind of a weird place. I think that it's, you know, maybe it's just because I'm from, you know, Cleveland, where everything's like jam packed on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like you like even driving out here tonight, like you're on your way, and then all of a sudden it's like, it's just open nothingness.
Yeah.
And then boop, there's a prison.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh well, I've seen that in movies.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then there, you know, imagine if it was because the guy who like designed the building way back in the 1800s, I believe his name was Levi Schofield. He's from Cleveland, right? So imagine if he would have built this in Cleveland. Can you imagine this building in Cleveland, like during
Oh,
Halloween?
man.
It'd be crazy.
Yeah, it'd be insane.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's where they got the inspiration for the show Prison Break.
That's
Because
possible.
the guy's name in that show is Schofield.
Really?
Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah. I wonder if that.
Look at Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia.
I've seen pictures. I haven't been able to get there yet, but
They do a Halloween. Well, they didn't do one last year because of COVID, I guess. But dude, they're just like, you know, they're right in the middle, like Philly, New Jersey. It's all right there.
It's like
you
right in
know?
the middle of the city, isn't it?
I believe it is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's intense. Like you're like driving to get your morning coffee, and you got a 30-foot brick wall on your side,
Yeah.
with the barbed wire fence on top of it.
That'd be interesting for sure. But yeah, we love it here, and it's a lot of fun. And
It's not even that. Like I know a lot of people are like, you know, I tell them, you know, I'm out there filming or whatever, and they're like, where is it? I'm like, it's Mansfield. And they're like, that's so far away. It's not. It's an
Not
hour
really.
drive from Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like, I maybe it's the East Sider in me because I grew up most of the time on the East side of Cleveland, and I noticed that people that live on the West side of Cleveland, like everything's 20 minutes away. Like it doesn't matter, you can be an hour, and they're like, oh, it's 20 minutes, but. For them to go anywhere on the east side, even if it's like literally the other side of the river, they're like, oh, that's too far. People on the east side have a tendency, maybe it's because it's slightly more spread out on the east side of Cleveland. Like the cities are a little bit more, there's a little bit more land. And so they're a little bit more likely to be like, oh, well, it's only 45 minutes away. It's not a big deal. But like for me, I'm like, I guess it's maybe I love to drive because I'll be like, oh, it's only an hour away. It's not a big deal. That's not that bad.
yeah, you drive down 30, like heading home tonight, you'll see a sign that'll say Cleveland 70, Columbus 70.
Oh, you're right.
So it's like really right in the middle. It's not a, you know, it's not really that long of a drive, but of course, you know, we get the Shawshank Redemption, you know, because that's where that film was shot here. You know what I mean? So we always get that kind of stuff. But I mean, aside from that, just, you know, especially at Halloween, you know, when you pull up and, you know, first timers, then they come and they see the building, they just, it's a adrenaline rush, you know.
Yeah.
I'm going in there. You know what I mean? So I think venue is a big part of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that what your haunt looks like on the outside is almost as important as on the inside.
Yeah.
And this place definitely stands out as far as outside goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've been to a lot of haunts that are nothing more than, it's in a shopping mall or it's in a shopping plaza. And that's a pretty popular way to do a haunt because the rent's cheaper and you don't have to buy the building and you don't have to maintain the parking lot as much because they have management companies do that. So it's more beneficial for the haunt owner to do it that way. But as far as like front appearance, you know, I don't know, something about just driving up to this place is like, oh, holy hell, I'm at a giant prison.
Yeah. That looks like Dracula's castle.
Yeah.
That always helps for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So what do you got coming up, man? What's on the horizon for Blind 7?
Currently a whole lot of editing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I filmed 3 haunt commercials, a music video, a proof of concept piece, and did 2 photo shoots in little less than 14 days.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Pretty much had some family stuff I needed to take care of and just kind of, you know, get my bearings after getting back from Jersey this week. So
yeah,
I'm tomorrow is wake up, crack the knuckles, and get to work. And
there you go.
Spend the next 2 weeks pretty much glued to my computer trying to get as much of the editing done as possible. And as far as actual haunt work goes, I don't think I have anything on the books as of yet until we book you again.
Yeah.
I know I got something coming up with Chippewa, but those are always kind of like, because, you know, Rick, between all the different projects that Rick does, he's like, hey, next week?
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, sure, we'll get it in. But because he's spread all over the place. But
right. We'll have Rick in here, so I think in another week or so.
Oh, okay.
We'll have Rick in and talk a lot about Chippewa because we actually got to go because we opened, you know, due to the, you know, pandemic and everything, we opened late. Well, they opened pretty much on time. They opened kind of early. And
did you like the PSA that I filmed for them?
I loved it.
Dude,
yeah.
Me and Rick pulled that off in like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like that was, that's probably one of the funniest things I've ever filmed.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
great.
This is great.
It was good. And we got to go and you know, talking with him, he's like, you know, we really want to keep the timing thing going because it really made the experience better. I couldn't agree more because when we went up, I mean, we brought, 20 people. And we all met up there, and then they broke us up into groups, and then we
were
went
doing what, 10 at a time,
something like that, yeah. And then we went through, and it was great. You know, we loved it, and we didn't see anybody. We saw just us.
Yeah, that was all.
I've
gone through plenty of haunted houses in my years, and that's one of the things that I guess I didn't like, the fact, like especially in like haunts that have to do the quantity of people to operate such large venues sometimes. And you end up on top of the person in front of you or the group in front of you. And you especially if you're counting on jump scares, it's like, you know, they get scared and you're like, oh, well, I guess I know there's a dude hiding behind that coffin.
Yeah.
You know, or it ruins the experience for the guests. And it's hard on your actors too. Because, I mean, they're in a constant reset. And they're trying to scare the group that's right behind them. And the group behind them is going, we already saw you. So yeah, the timing thing, I think COVID kind of helped the haunt industry figure out a little bit, when it came to that, because it kind of helped everybody figure out, all right, let's divide everybody up by 30 seconds a little bit, 30 seconds more.
Right.
And
well, I think in some of it, especially, you know, like here we have to run, you know, pretty big groups, you know, just to get them through, you know, but I mean, we only do it on the busiest nights, you know what I mean? But I mean, you try to, and it's hard on the actors, and it's hard for the actors sometimes to, you know, make the determination on, am I going to scare them in the beginning, in the middle? So if I got a 15-person group walking through,
are you hitting them in the middle or the front or the back?
Right. You know, we prefer in the back because it keeps them moving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, the people, like you said, they'll be like, oh, great. Well, I know that's going to happen, or I didn't get, you know, any action from anybody. So what we try to do, and I emphasize the word try, what we try to do is, just set it up so it's like, okay, so and here you guys scare the first person. This group scares the middle. This group scares the end.
Oh yeah,
to try and break up the monotony a little bit. So it's like, oh, so I'm not the first person's not the only one getting scared.
Well, because normally,
the whole
like,
group.
especially if you have like a group of 10 people going through, they're always going to shove the bravest to the front.
Yeah, yeah.
So while it's fun to try and tackle the bravest guy, you're not going to get the reaction. Even if you do get them, you're not going to get the reaction on them you would get from the 5 people who are right behind them that are scared out of their minds already. Right. So, I mean, you're in the business of scaring people, so you might as well go after the people that are going to be the ones that are scared.
don't get me wrong, I love all my guests, but my favorite guests, and I see them every year, my favorite ones are the ones that, and there'll be 4 or 5 of them, and they'll put their hands on the shoulders of the person in front of them, and then they'll put their heads down and just follow
the conga line.
Yeah, they just follow this way, and the other one, the one in front's like, has to take everything in. You know what I mean? And oh my God, it's just that's always the group I try to follow through.
Why would you pay to go to a haunted house just to be able to have it told to you by the person in front of you of what it looked like?
Yeah. You know what the funny thing is? Speaking of that, well, there's different kinds too, because you've got the people that come in that are bound and determined. They're not getting scared. It's just like, ain't happening, man. Ain't gonna happen. It's just like, I tell all of them, I was like, look, I mean, even if you don't get scared, just come in open,
right?
Because you're gonna have more fun that way. At least come in saying, hey, I want to have fun,
Like I said, I've gotten hit with a couple of jump scares here and there, but it's never been like, oh my God, I'm screaming,
right,
my pants kind of thing. But like, it takes a seasoned actor to get me. I think Rick got me the one year.
Yeah.
I went through Chippewa, and it's just because I wasn't expecting it. He hit me in a spot that, working in the haunted industry, you kind of walk through a haunt and you're like, I know there's somebody right there. I know there's about to be somebody right here, because you know where you would have put somebody had you designed that place. Yeah. So it kind of takes a little bit of the fun out of it for you. So it is nice when somebody does get you. Like, it doesn't happen very often, but even then, I know that I'm not going to be terrified going through a haunted house, but if I walk through, I want to take it all in.
Yeah.
I want to be excited about it.
Sure.
Like, give me some visual things to munch on. Like,
sure. You want to see the sets and the makeups and
I got, maybe it's a PSA of my own. If I'm walking through your haunted house filming to get a general walkthrough, do not scare me. Scare the camera.
Yeah, right.
And do not hit the camera.
Yeah.
Like, that happens a lot. Like, end up getting that, or they'll see me coming and they'll be like, oh, and they just like dropped the act and stop acting. And you're like, no, actor, I'm coming through deliberately to try and show your bosses that you're doing a good job, and you just walked up and you're like, oh, hi. You turn around and walk away because you're not going to scare me. Like, no.
Or the ones that be like, hey, man, you're not supposed to have cameras in here.
that does happen once in a blue moon, but for surprising, I haven't been told that a whole lot.
Yeah. We have people that'll come in, I mean, not all the time, but here and there, someone will come in with a GoPro.
Yeah.
And they'll have right there, and, it's just like.
Word of the warning, haunted houses are too dark for GoPros.
Yeah.
Like, I know you can get something out of them, but I've done walkthroughs with everything from GoPros to, $3,000 plus cameras. It takes a special kind of camera to go through a haunt and actually pick up anything.
Right.
It's designed to keep your eyes dimmed the whole time.
Sure.
You're lit with single bulb LEDs in certain areas, not bright floodlights. And I mean, maybe it's just, because that would look terrible. I'd get home and look at it on the computer and be like, I can't use this for anything.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's fun, man. I love doing this kind of stuff. And
this is definitely a special industry.
For sure. Yeah. But it's great because it takes in everybody, like, from just a horror fan to, killer photographer to actors. And it's just like, it's all this big, conglomerate of special people that, make it all happen from every angle.
It's like the island of misfit toys for weirdos. Like,
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Like, that, I want to see them make that a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Bungle, and like have it yeah, if I knew how to animate, I would turn that in.
There you go, man. Well, listen, it was great having you on.
Yeah.
I definitely want to have you back down. We talked about during the season, because the cell blocks, we don't set those up until the season. We got tours and everything, but once we get those up, I'd love to have you guys come back down, do some stuff. We'll bring some people in, get some stuff during the hunt. And I'm telling anybody out there, you need some stuff done, this is the guy to call. It's blind7.com.
It's blind7photography.com.
Blind7photography.com. You can see him on Instagram,
pretty much every social network.
There you go.
You just look up Blind7. It's the number 7, not the word 7.
Yeah, there you go. Look at our videos at Blood Prison, and he's the one that did them. Chippewa Lake, great hunt, great videos. You guys are doing an amazing job, and thanks for coming in on the podcast. We loved having you
Thanks
here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Love to have you back in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. This was fun.
Sweet, man. Thanks for coming down. Be careful going home.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Night.